Are you on a forklift?
Yeah, yeah.
You are a son of a bitch.
Un saluto a tutti.
Hey, Juventini, welcome back to the AJC. The season is a wrap. Yet this isn't the full-on wrap-up show, but we're just going to talk a little bit about
What?
news. And yeah, we're not going to make it the full wrap-up show. I mean, we could if you want, but we're going to get into some wrap-up questions and everything. And
Sure.
I think this one will be a really long storm the barn session because even yesterday I couldn't get to all of them. However, we did spend a time when we went off air to answer one from Aldo and see what we could do there. So,
Oh, that's me. Lucci.
yeah. Now, let's take a look at some of the comments. Say what's up to everybody here. Hey, John, the longest season in the history. Did it feel like the longest one ever since you've been supporting?
So I was looking at the total games yesterday. I tried to put a nice tweet together to kind of round up the season. Juventus played in 56 games this year. I thought it was 1,056. I thought it was way more than that. It was a lot of games. A lot of struggles.
How long did the season feel for you?
Very long. I'm glad it's over. It's been a while. Yeah.
It felt like 3 wrapped into one. Like I feel like I've personally aged 3 years just through this particular season. So yeah, definitely. Ciao to Vedad here. Let's see what Lucci. Oh my God! Thank
What's
you. This
he going
season
on
is
about?
over. Ciao, you.
Well, he's right. Thank God
This
it's
one
over.
needed to end. This one needed to end. Jeremiah, you guys, season end is here. Waiting for the good news of Max leaving. Okay, well,
I don't
we'll
know
see.
about that
See
one.
what happens. Find out if Allegri has left. Yeah, everybody was kind of hoping for some changes this quick. I don't know if it's going to be this quick, but silly season has commenced, as Tal has noted here. You're going to hear it all. We're going to tackle it all, okay, and get in there. We got Tony G, another member of the AJC memberships there. All right. Ciao. Thank you, legend. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Spent a lot of time yesterday just saying thank you because this season, as frustrating as it was from Juve, it was a great season for us, and we were able to check off a lot of firsts, and we got a lot more coming, all right? So, Anth, Lex, let's have some fun. As far as the game goes, we're not going to get into the usual recap. When I was the final game of the season, it's against Udinese, and I'll be quite honest, it was another sleeper. Just
I thought it was a friendly.
sleeper. But let's just talk about things we saw, maybe we didn't see, and what you thought. I think Chiesa obviously looked good and also had some frustrating moments. Times he probably should have dished the ball off and whatnot. But Anth, any thoughts on that match yesterday, the finale?
Well, again, I was running the main for the game yesterday, and I was just staring at my phone, like, what do I put in here? I tried to interact. There was nothing to write. It was very tough to watch. I don't know how you did a watch long. That was impressive. I'd jump in every once in a while, and you were talking about hockey at one point. I'm like, he's keeping it fresh. Good for you. But Chiesa and Ailing Jr., that's really the only thing I took out of that game.
Yeah,
That's it.
for sure. Lex?
Same. I actually rewatched it after too, so it's like
I
What?
did not do a rewatch on that one. I did not.
double the pain. But yeah, like you mentioned, Chiesa, I thought he looked great. Which was nice to see. Finally, he scored. Nice Locatelli assist too. So that made it worth it for me watching. But otherwise, yeah, it was it was not an exciting match.
You were watching the Roma game, weren't you?
I was watching both, so then I did a rewatch so that I was like well versed on what happened for the show. But yeah, I was watching a bit of Spezia Roma as well.
Yeah, did not do a rewatch for a couple reasons. Number one, I felt like quite confident I got everything I needed to out of that game in the first watch, and I had a game of my own, so I was like, okay.
Oh, how'd that go, Berto? How'd your game go?
Stop it. I actually, yeah, I had a rough go. Didn't get on the score
Berto's
sheet.
a little sleepy today. He's a little sleepy.
It was a late game, late start because of the Memorial Cup that was hosted here where I live. So they had the final on, so everybody was out there at the Molson house and checking out the game. So they started our kickoffs later. They pushed it back. We were supposed to play early on, and then they were like, no, we're going to do them at 7 p.m. And then by the time, you have a couple bevies after with the team, yeah. You get
Isn't
home
that a
little
normal
late.
start time for your game? 7 o'clock? That's
No.
like a regular start time here.
Is it?
Seven,
Yeah.
9. Yeah.
No, because we don't have lights at all the pitches. So sometimes it gets a little dicey. So
Where do you live, man? This is a first world country. You don't have lights at your fields?
not all of them. No. No.
Weirdos.
Yeah. But if you want to
Anyways.
come over and set them all up and install them, that would be fantastic. All right. Now,
Just park the cars with your headlights. There
look
you
at
go,
this. So
headlights.
performance with the washout, heroic. Yes. Yes.
Luca.
Yes. You know what, though? This is good, though. We let this out now, Vedat, and then when the revenge tour starts and we start back where we need to be, then the watch alongs get fired because it is going to happen. Just a
No
matter of
prisoners.
when, okay? Now, the game, yeah, pretty sleepy. Like players' attitudes and stuff seemed kind of odd. Like people were saying, oh, yeah, this is it for Bonucci. I don't actually think it is it for Bonucci. And I think there's one more season coming up with Bonucci. But like looking at the players' attitudes and stuff going into that final game and even watching them on the bench and whatnot, everybody seemed pretty calm, serene. But we're going to switch it up to Max because Max's words after the game are where fans were taking everything he said and kind of analyzing, like, is this a guy that sounds like he's going to be around this year? Is this a guy that doesn't sound like he's going to be around next year? So I don't know if you want me to reiterate any of it or if you caught it all, but which one of you would like to start off on how you felt about some of Max's words?
While you look it up, I'll start.
Because I've got it right
Okay.
here.
Okay. Let me just say, no one listened to this guy for 56 post-match interviews. Nobody. Well, we did a little bit. Now, all of a sudden, people are paying attention to what he says. Like, what are we talking about here?
Well,
Like
no,
he,
I think everybody paid attention all year because he says some
They
pretty
did- well,
wild
they didn't-
stuff.
they
Like
didn't really
every
believe what he
game,
said.
like every game when we shit the bed or look like garbage, and he said, "Oh, that was a great performance." No, people have been listening. They've been listening.
yeah.
Well, they
So
didn't
does
take it
he?
seriously. Maybe they didn't take
There
it
you go.
seriously, as that's what you're trying to get at.
Yeah,
I don't know. For me, it sounded like a dead man walking. That's what it sounded like.
I agree. There was like a million thank yous to everyone and continuously trying to call this season special for what they've done with the points and everything. To me, I don't know, it kind of sounded like the writing's on the wall, but Lex, how did it sound for you?
Yeah, I felt that way too. It was interesting before I even saw what he said. I heard like split reviews. I had seen some people commenting that it looked like, oh, he's back next year. And then other people were like, oh, he's totally gone. And I was like, what? How's it so like divided? What did he actually say? So I went and looked at it and yeah, I had a feeling more that he was gone. I don't know. Sometimes they tend to like say the opposite in those post match things, or they say something and the opposite ends up happening. So I don't know, but
Yeah. Matt right here, this season was special for what it did to my blood pressure. Pretty much,
Same.
pretty much. Look, like, yeah, I mean, if we look at it, continuing to call it special, continuing to say that it is an improvement from last season, so continuing to do that. Let's pull this one up here because, there are certain accounts out there that continue to fight the fight. And I will say this, relentless.
Like,
So
unbelievable.
there are certain Allegri fans out there that are really living the motto fino alla fine because they are applying that to Max Allegri. So Juventus Serie A clean sheet wins since Allegri's appointment in 2014, okay? This is
so good.
the stat line that was hit to this morning on Twitter and whatnot. 2014-15, 17 clean sheet wins. 2015-16, 20 clean sheet wins. 2016-17, 18. In 2017-18, 19. in 2018-19, 16. Then the Sarri season, you have 11. Pirlo season, you have 8. Last year, 12. This year, 19. They're trying to paint that picture of improvement. It is improvement based on how many clean sheets we have received. It is non-improvement overall because we actually left a lot of games we conceded. And I will remind everybody, we were 2 losses away from the total worst season ever recorded by
We
Juventus.
almost did it. Oh, it's close. Right there.
So
Right there.
I cannot get behind a okay, yeah, you got a few more clean sheets, 7 more clean sheets, but yes, it just doesn't count for shit. All those other games that you're conceding, well, how many times do we have to lay out the record in games we've conceded?
1 second, please.
It's shocking. It's shocking.
Yep.
Like, what are we talking about? Improvement. Now, they used this stat line to continue on in a thread. And the second statement said, nobody cared. Nobody cared how Max played during the winning days because he had a midfield and an attack that got the job done, and the guys stepped up and did what they had to do. Sure. Okay. No problem. But is that not reiterating the fact that those guys, if we have a guy that has admittedly set up nothing in the attack, does that not pretty much wrap up the argument for he benefited from the club, the team that he had? It kind of does for me.
Lex?
For me as well. I think you can see how in those seasons in the past, it was really a reliance on the talent that was there. And then, kind of as we've always mentioned, like pragmatically doing some touch ups to the lineup or to the players, but definitely was a less involved position for him because the squad that we did have back then was incredible. And we've talked a lot about that too. We never really replaced those players coming through. And so then the Allegri 2.0 was a completely different situation. But I think, as you mentioned, Al, it was really a true test to see, okay, what can you do with maybe a less talented squad? Can he put a system in? Can he set some things up? And I think it was proven over the course of this season and last season that he was unable to succeed in doing that. So yeah, for me as well.
Yeah, and
I'd like to start off by saying thank you to Lucci for bringing that ridiculous tweet into my, world this morning. So thank you, Lucci, for that. I appreciate it. It doesn't mean clean sheets don't mean anything, or that record doesn't mean anything if you're not scoring the other way, right? Okay, great. We had clean sheets. Awesome. Our record still stunk, right? Okay, we would have finished what, third this year, fourth? What would we have finished if we didn't have the -10?
third.
Anybody know? Does anybody
Third.
care? No. Doesn't matter. It still didn't look good. Still didn't. Great. Our defense looked good. That's one positive we can take in the next season for the new coach.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very
If
excited
we're
about
gonna,
that.
and now getting into the season changes, everybody wanting changes. So again, for those that fight this point that we're gonna get into right now, which is the players. Obviously, you all saw the news that there are teams lurking around Federico Chiesa, Vlahovic, of course. We know the situation there. When I dropped what my source told me, which was that it was slim to none for chances for Max to return, he also tied in the second part. And we also posted, and I came out on videos and said the second part as well, which is it's not only Dusan Vlahovic that the club is trying to save by acting quickly on changes. I still believe there is still a possibility for today, but even possibly tomorrow, like at some point this week, I expect changes. And to be honest, if we don't get them, I think there is a lot of reason for Juventini to become very frustrated with this club's ambitions and what we're trying to do here. Because if all of a sudden we want to become Excuses FC and you want to be happy with participation, then Max Allegri is your guy. But the season's over, and I'm
100%.
not going to fucking mince words anymore, but the guy has to go. And that's the bottom line, okay? Now, I
Stone
got
Cold
into
says so.
some pretty heated discussions, like even just through daily update videos, because I said if you want to look at a team that has little assets as far as talent goes, okay, and you have your biggest ones and they're looking to go, this is a major, major problem. I was basically countered with this statement, which is you don't let the inmates run the prison. I'm going to tell you exactly why that line does not actually apply to this scenario. Because in some circumstances, that is correct. And you shouldn't. But this is why it does not apply here. Because this team has tried Max Allegri's way. He didn't just step in here for 2 months' time. He's been here. This is his second season. He shit talked a build that he was a part of, that had final say on all the moves. People want to use Cristiano Ronaldo to protect the others. Guess what? Who sent him away? Who wanted him gone? Said, I don't need Cristiano Ronaldo. Guess what? I think you might have. Now, all
I didn't
that is
say that.
nonsense.
We needed him.
This team tried to get the job done doing it his way. They've lost faith in how he was doing it, and they don't believe in it anymore. And as soon as your players don't believe in what you're trying to sell, you are as good as done, and you're not going to change an entire roster, and that's it, period. So this don't let the inmates run the prison thing is complete bullshit at this point in
Asylum.
time, because they've tried. All right, they've tried, they've gone with it, and now he's finally lost the players' faith. And if you want to look at this, it's not just the fact that the players, he's lost half the locker room. It's who he has lost. He hasn't lost the mercenaries. He's losing guys that have been here for a long fucking time. And guys like Szczesny, when a guy like Szczesny speaks out against approaches and what you guys are doing, that guy
I
doesn't
don't
say
like Max.
shit even during games. Okay, but when club veterans, guys that have been here for a long time and part of those winning teams and everything, start to be the ones that speak up, that's when you listen. Okay, it's not the Di Marias and the Paredes and whatever, who gives a shit about what they say. But when these guys that have been here for that long start to say shit, you have to listen. And that's why I don't believe in any of that nonsense about inmates. Don't let the inmates run the prison. No, at this
Asylum.
particular moment in time, it does not apply, and you have to listen to it. They are hanging on by a thin thread. Everybody that is trying to fight a case to keep Max around. Bottom line, don't let the standards slide for this team. If you want excuses, FC, and you want participation ribbons, Max is your guy. But I don't give a shit about just reaching semifinals, okay? And that's my rant for this morning. Lex, Ant, take it away.
Lex,
Do you agree
Lex,
with
you're
me?
ready.
Do you agree with me?
Oh, I'll get to that. Lex, go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. I think that, as you mentioned, when you look at the players that are speaking out against it, when you've lost the players, seemingly, as you can tell in post match interviews and whatnot, and the little indications they've given us, I think that that's just clear that it's time for the coach to go. And I think it's been evident for a while. And I think as fans, we get frustrated watching that type of play and watching these games. Imagine playing in them. It's probably just as frustrating, if not more frustrating for our players. So I totally agree with you. I think that we tried his methods for 2 years. We gave him his chance. Everyone said, okay, let's give him a mercato. All right, let's give him another mercato. We brought in players for Max. Like, when we signed Vlahovic, we signed the best striker in the league at that time. Like, you can't say that we didn't bring in quality. We brought in Di Maria, world champion. Whatever you want to say about him too, you can't disagree that we didn't bring Max quality players. But the fact that this was what we were left with this season, I think is just an indication that it's time to move on, time to put this squad in the hands of a new manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Again, I was the last Allegri holdout here. So on that side of the fence, you can say, there was the World Cup, there was the point deduction. So there's a lot of excuses that could be made, and it's fair. You can make those excuses, but when you just look at what the product is on the field, just look at the product on the field. You can't look at that and say, we did okay. It's just there was no improvement. There was no that Grinta's gone, everything's gone. You can say that was sort of happening before Max got here. Well, Max had 2 years to bring that back, and he couldn't do it. So it's just you just need a complete reset. And why I would be surprised if he was here next year is when it was it the All or Nothing with Pirlo's season, whatever the show was that they had Pirlo behind the scenes.
All or nothing. Yeah.
Is it the All or Nothing? So they showed one clip I just remembered where he was sitting with the marketing or content manager, and they go through everything that's sort of being said online. There is no way that Juventus. There's no way they don't see all this Allegri out stuff. This fan base is ready to riot if this guy comes back. That alone, like if I didn't see that, I'd say, well, maybe the club's sort of insulated. They're on their way. They want to stick with Max. There is no way, looking at all this Allegri stuff out again, that they bring him back. It is impossible that they do. Simply for the fan base. They cannot alienate, I would say, over 3/4 of the fan base wants this guy out. There is no way it's less than 75%.
Yeah, I honestly think that what we're going to get is a complete reversal of what was going on towards the end with Agnelli, to be honest. And here's the thing is the signs are all over the place. And we know Calvo's history with Agnelli. He's brought in, that started to raise questions. Agnelli was allowed the freedom to resign on his own accord out of respect and obviously family ties. Okay. But Elkan bringing in Calvo was kind of like this, a little bit surprising. And it's like, okay, wow. So he's going to immediately go from his cousin to this guy that has major
Why is it surprising?
beef.
In case
So
people don't remember or know.
what's that? Oh, for that he stole
Why
his
is it
wife.
surprising?
Agnelli stole Calvo's wife. Okay.
Okay, there you go.
And so they've got
Lex, I
major
didn't know that
beef.
either.
Major beef. Okay. And so Elkin goes from that, immediately brings Calvo in, and that was like, whoa, okay. What's going on here? Everybody was kind of like, in the circles I've been talking to, was like, wow, this is a little bit of a strange one here. Then you get rumors of Conte. And Conte coming in. You see Conte sitting there with the brass and whatnot. You start hearing about the players that they want to get involved in the management team, whatnot. For me, and again, some of the names are guys that had beef with Agnelli. Okay? So, ADP, there's no doubt about it. The way shit went down towards the end, there's a reason it took until this long for him to come back to the stadium. Okay? And again, funny enough, somebody wasn't a part of it. Now, Conte's first return to the stadium and having dinner with the brass and everything. My whole theory, and this theory that's going around with a lot of UNT right now, is they are looking to do a complete, 180, a complete opposite direction of everything Agnelli was essentially doing. So I think we can all agree Agnelli kind of lost the plot towards the end. Right now, if you look at everything, and there's a lot of fans that say and are feeling this way, and it's valid, you can't run a club based on vendettas and revenge.
You could, but it's not going to work out very well.
However, it can seem like it's vendetta and revenge or whatnot, but like I've been saying, can also be one of the best motivational things out there right now, because if you're telling me Calvo does not want to be the guy that turns this thing around immediately after the dude that stole his wife, yeah, this guy's going to want it more than anything. Okay.
Plus, Conte wanted to turn it around after Allegri.
Yes.
You have those two?
And right now, them going against and doing a 180 on everything Agnelli had done towards the end when he lost the plot, that's probably a good strategy, because we were a mess and have been a mess. If they look to make corrections with the fans and the stadium atmosphere, you have your answer on them doing a complete flip on everything Agnelli had done. And I honestly believe right now, everything is heightened for Juventus, and they need to be on red alert for everything, essentially, because of the fact that they have such a disconnect that they have created with the fan base. And it starts with the stadium atmosphere and everything. And everybody knows, like, I'm pretty pissed off with the Ultras because for me, the majority of them can be fair weather. And it's like, okay, what am I getting out of this? What am I getting out of this and whatnot? It's like I start to question your love and passion for the club. When you go to the stadium and you intimidate others into being silent, it's bullshit. So I have my thoughts on all that. The truth is both parties have done wrong. The club and the Ultras and whatnot. But if you're Juve, you have to figure out a way to bring life into that stadium. This club has so many areas that they need attention. It's almost like, where do you start? So they've got to do something about the atmosphere in there. For me, it's like an injection of life. I have been anti-Conte for quite some time, but to be honest, I'm starting to almost talk myself into it because this team needs, they're on life support, man, and they need a slap in the face and to wake the hell up. So I still like Tudor, and those are the two names at the top right now. But is it right or wrong with these motivations to start trying to turn things around? And
Well, shouting out Vincenzo there. I think the George Costanza opposite was a tuna on rye as opposed to I can't remember what he had before, but great callback.
great
to
episode,
Seinfeld.
man. The opposite episode.
Fantastic.
Oh, brilliant.
Brilliant episode. Whatever works. Whatever works. If the revenge theory someone put out here, if that's what works, it's a chicken salad. That's what works. Right. Sorry, I just got that whole episode just blasted through my mind here. Yeah, revenge theory, whatever we need. Does this mean the Super League is dead?
No. Super League was Elkin from the get-go.
So whatever we need to get going in the opposite direction of the direction we were going in this season, bringing Conte, even though I have my feelings about how that's going to turn out in a year or two, just whatever it is, we need to completely switch from where we're going this season.
Well, let's
Can't
talk
keep on
about
this
this
track.
then. Let's talk about, because, you got Zidane,
salad.
Italiano, Tudor, whatnot. Like, the Seinfeld's the best show
Sorry,
ever made.
I
Period.
apologize. We got to keep this professional here. Come on. Let's go. Let's focus.
So, Lex,
Okay.
before we get to the coaches and whatnot, let's talk about like the motivations behind some of these picks and some of these choices. How do you feel about that? And then we'll get to these coaches. I'll bring up a different question. So, Lex, go ahead.
I think that in terms of like looking at the motivations, I think even more so than just a revenge tour, it could just be the mere fact that the opportunities opened up now because Agnelli is gone. So although he did bring a lot of good to the club, I think him not being there has definitely opened the door for, as you mentioned, ADP returning to maybe a more prominent position in the club, to Conte returning, to all of these things. So I think personally that it's maybe more that the fact that he's gone is allowing these people to be willing to come back, to return.
Yeah. All right, and that's a great point too.
I'm sorry, BE put down in a cup of tea. I forgot about the cup of tea.
Anth, are you good, man? Get it together, man.
Oh, fuck. That was so funny. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate
Now.
that. Oh, going down memory lane there. Cup of tea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, man. That's
I'm good. I'm back.
Okay. Now, Zidane, Italiano, Tudor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When we start looking at other options for coaches and everything.
Sorry, Lucci.
I've been saying this for a while, and it's like Zidane for me, it's not the time. It's not the time.
Mm-mm.
Why would you bring a guy like that into a team that has to restore the foundation, the base? Like we're ground level in my books because there has been nothing established. There's no culture. There's no lifeline. Like there's nothing we're falling back on. We're going out there and we're playing some of the ugliest football that lacks any type of flair or style or any kind of imprint from this team.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to bring in a guy like Zidane when the roster's like, no. Italiano, I see these guys as the guys after you've established that. And this is exactly why, like, get the foundation right. Get your idea. Because these are not, for me, they're not culture guys. And culture is a big, big problem at Juventus right now. Zidane, you could say, ties to the club or whatnot, but that doesn't automatically mean that he's going to instill the culture and the values from day one. And if you want to start looking at coaches that can do that, I will say this, okay? Tudor has a bit of that. He can do that a bit. But can anybody do it as quick? And I'm telling you right now, I've been anti-Conte since day one. Over the past few days, I'm starting to talk myself into it. It's scaring me. But
Yes,
can
you are.
anybody do it as quick and proven and do it at club after club after club? I'm telling you. It makes a lot of sense, but the culture has to be established. It's not that it's that I have a problem with any of these guys. I would love one day to see Italiano at Juventus, but do I believe he can bring back the culture? No. I think when you establish the culture, a guy like that could come in and then give you one hell of a playing style to feed off of that. But that's just me. Guys, and Lex, let's kick things off with you on this coaching thing.
Took a lot of shots over your way. Here we go.
I wonder which one I'm going to pick.
And fair enough, Aldo. Hey, I'm not here to change minds. No.
I think, like, Al, what you mentioned is true. You can definitely do a 1-800 call Conte to come fix up this team. And I think he would have an immediate effect. There's no denying that. And as we've seen in the past with our past success, he lays a good foundation from which someone can build off of. So I wouldn't be denying that. However, I think I would still want Italiano now. I think that given the way our season ended and the fact that we're going to be in the Conference League and where we finished and going into next season, I think it's a perfect time to bring in a coach like that, because now you can't deny that he doesn't have experience in that type of league, as well as the Serie A, having just brought Fiorentina to the Conference League final. Plus, Italiano has been successful in every season, from when he promoted Spezia to Serie A, from when he's brought Fiorentina to Europe, to then Fiorentina to 2 cup finals. And I think it's just evident in how they play. And obviously I'm biased, but I think that I would really like to see him with this team. I think we're in a unique position because of the point deductions that I think allows for someone like him to come in now. Plus, I fear that we miss out like we did on De Zerbi if we don't hire him now.
Here's
FOMO.
the thing. No denying he's had success at those clubs. There is a big, big difference between those clubs and Juventus. Now, with the circumstances we face, even more so. More pressure on Juventus to get it right. If Italiano is as close to Napoli as the reports should suggest, in my opinion, it would be better to see him go there and see how he deals with taking over a reigning champion and dealing with that pressure and then making a decision. Because if I'm going to look at risk assessment, what would I bank on more? A coach taking over his first big club and getting it right, or a guy that we have seen put instant stimulus and change into a team like that when joining? What is less risk for Juventus?
And you go ahead.
Well, I'm going to flip it over.
That's just how I'm looking at it. That's just how I'm looking at it. I'm not saying that is the fact. That's how I look at it from the outside.
From the other angle, when you were talking about Zidane, my only thing with Zidane is that he was handed the keys to the probably one of the best club teams of all time. So I'm not convinced that he's a guy who can come in here, Berto, to your point, he can come in here and maybe he can help with the culture, but can he build a team? And maybe he can, but he hasn't shown that. Italiano doing great stuff. if we're talking about a guy's success in Conference League, we got a real problem, because that shouldn't be the the barometer of where we should be hiring our coaches for. Like, are we playing Conference League next year? Yes. Are we happy about it? We should not be happy about that. But just what we need is a quick turnaround. And again, Conte is the guy. And I'm not saying Conte should be here. He's not going to be here for 10 years. He won't. But for a 2-year turnaround, don't worry. There'll be another De Zerbi. There'll be another Italiano 2 years from now. Like, look at Palladino. Look at Thiago Motta. Look at these guys. These guys weren't on anybody's radar 12 months ago. So these guys, there you go. These guys will be there 1 to 2 years down the road. So that whole fear of missing out thing, we'll find our coach. But for right now, just anybody but Max. Just get this guy out of the effing building. Jeez.
The rumblings I'm getting from the outside are Mota is not actually in the mix. That's just what I heard 2 days ago. Yeah, 2 days ago. But yeah, again, sources, all sorts of sources. We'll see what happens. But look, this just shows you how you can sit there and hum and haw. And while I'm saying, okay, that, hey, Conte makes a lot of sense, I have major PTSD from returns at Juventus. And that is the one thing that keeps bringing me back to, like, oh my God, we can't do this. We can't do this. But I don't know. I don't know. Like, for me, culture's got to start at the top. We are establishing a new management team. The board there are some rumblings that the president could change. That doesn't necessarily mean that the person there right now is going to go away completely. But there's a lot of noise around Juventus. Changes, we have not got them immediately here. Okay, obviously this morning, today, but changes are definitely going to come. I see no way of it not going down. These rumors about Allegri, and if you guys remember when that guy off Sky Sports, like Chiesa, tried to lure everybody in on this great return, sensational return to Juventus, and then ended up going on TV and just essentially trying to squash the rumors about Max being fired up about something. Max was fired up about something. Max was fired up because, and I got more reiteration yesterday, okay? Because someone was asking Dan over here, what's your source saying today? What not today, but yesterday. Elkin has given the green light to Calvo. Calvo's gotten the green light to make decisions. He circumnavigated Max not just on one, but a couple decisions. That pissed Max off. Okay? Max was upset. There was tension. Usually, like, put it all together. Half the locker room is lost on Max Allegri. Max Allegri's got tension with Calvo right now that Calvo's got the green light from Elkin, who brought him in. Do you expect this coach to stay? I don't. And why would you?
Don't see it.
I can't see all this going on and being reiterated and backed up and whatnot. Now, there was another source on Mediaset yesterday, and he came out and said from people very close to Conte, they are saying that it's happening and it's going down. We're on standby as far as who comes in, but Ventura. Come on, Aldo, come on.
Holy Moses. Is he in the part of the world where the toilet water swirls the other way down the toilet? Where's he at? Because
Aldo's a beauty. Aldo's a beauty.
I know
he is definitely not for come, but Ventura?
Jeez.
Wow. Now you're just crazy.
I'd rather pick Lucci over Ventura.
That's a tough one.
That's a toss-up. It's a toss-up.
Easy.
That's tight. That's tight. Okay, if it's one of the two, like Lucci and Luca together, maybe Ventura. But one of them separately, Luca or Lucci, I'd take over Ventura. But when they're together, yeah, maybe Ventura in. And man, like a couple nattering little hens are just freaking all day. Those two. Okay.
See, I don't know if Adriano's just trying to stir up stuff here in the comments, but keep Allegri. I'd really love for someone to come on here and say, like, give their reasons in with a straight face.
Here's the thing. Call-in shows. Those are going to happen through the off season. And I would love for someone to come in here and tell me why they want to keep Max Allegri. I've challenged this on daily update videos in the comment section, whatnot, and I'll be quite honest, what I'm getting is very, very weak. Is it very, very weak arguments? I'm not buying into it. The ultimate thing, remember when we were starting on this coaching thing and everybody says Max Allegri, don't let the inmates run the prison, whatever, this, and the penalty points and everything. For me, the penalty points is the ultimate mask on what a shit show Allegri 2.0 actually is, okay? That's his lifeline. That's his lifeline to a job is the penalty points. And while I agree it was shit and I think he did do a good job overall in dealing with it, let's not forget that before the penalty points even came in, a club with actual ambitions would have probably sacked him then and there because we had to completely change our objectives about a month into the season. Let's remember that. That's the one thing in my head I keep going back to is that before the points even were a talking point, you could have made the argument to fire this coach.
You were calling for it after the Monza loss in October.
Too.
I
Yeah.
said I
course you were,
don't
Lex.
see
Like,
a
what are we
way
talking
that
about
he
here?
could turn this thing around. And then the point penalty, take it how you want. Take it as like this statement to him to, okay, he needs to stay around, or take it for maybe that's what got the group to fight and come together and whatnot. But listen, any way you slice it, this guy had his head being called for about a month into the job in his second year. I can't see it. I can't see it. Yeah, I just can't. Everybody, drop a like. Get your Storm the Barn questions in
Get 'em in.
now, all right? And
STB.
I'm keeping tabs on my phone like crazy to see if there is any more updates coming in from news and see if my source is messaging me anything. But right now, it's pretty quiet. Chiesa, we're all nervous about it. Let's talk about Chiesa's words. How do you guys feel about Chiesa? Do you think he's actually going to be moved?
Lex, go ahead.
It's tough. It's difficult to say. I think his words were telling. I know, Al, you were mentioning there's a bit of a discrepancy with the translation, but still, given what the reports I did see, I was a bit concerned to see that. It wasn't exactly reassuring for him to make that statement, I thought, after the match. I remember also hearing kind of back in the Pirlo season just rumblings of like, I don't remember exactly where, but Chiesa not exactly being like as locked in to staying at Juve forever as maybe some of us believe or want to believe. So I think that there's always that possibility, of course. I think a lot of it for the players depends on whether or not we keep Max. I think that's a huge factor, and a lot of players maybe are waiting for clarification in that regard. But otherwise, yeah, I wasn't exactly reassured to hear that about Chiesa.
Yeah. Ant?
I don't think any of these players are leaving, especially Chiesa. I really don't. I fully believe that Max is on his way out, and I fully believe that Calvo, the interim sporting director, if it's Mana or if Giuntoli ends up arriving, plus the new manager, will convince other players to stay, mainly Vlahovic. Because for me, Vlahovic's under contract. We have no reason to sell him. I think you touched on this on the show yesterday, Al. We're not in any dire straits at the moment where we need to, sell all these players and, you know, we're like Rabiot's leaving. That's a high wage. I could see us selling Tech. Unfortunately, me being a Tech guy, but I could see us selling him because we have the backup in Pitting. But I don't see this major roster overhaul, mainly because we have a lot of this youth coming back. Lovella's coming in, Cambiaso's coming in. We have some filling in some holes, maybe center back we have to purchase, but I really don't see them leaving if they can bring in the manager to sit them down and say, this is the project we're going to do. You're part of it. Especially since Vlahovic was the center of the project what 12 months ago.
Yeah.
That's what he was been told. So I really have a hard time seeing them
I
being sold.
honestly like if we're looking at this too, in terms of what you're gonna get, you have to. It's gonna get a little interesting because Chiesa's on contract to 2025. Okay,
Hmm.
so we go into 23-24. Then you go into 24-25, that being his final season.
Hmm.
Um, right now, if we sold him, our break point is what, 30. So right now he stands as, I believe, another 30 mil on the books and everything. Gazetta's coming out with 35 mil. I don't know where they're getting that number from. So you're trying to tell me Fratesi is worth more than Federico Chiesa? No chance. No chance.
I have no doubt that teams are kicking the tires on Chiesa.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't you? And I said this to Lucci the other day. He and I were having a conversation in the group chat. There is no doubt that teams are going to come in and lowball Juventus on players. Why wouldn't you? Of course, the Sharks are going to circle.
exactly. Exactly. And here's the thing. I've been saying, and again, culture, all this, it's all relative. It's even
Mhm.
relative to the mercato. Juve needs to start essentially having a set, okay? And start pushing some weight around and just being like, yeah, you know what? No. Even with Bayern, come sniffing around, whatever, all this lowball shit from Bayern. What are we doing Bayern favors for? They got an entire league that does them favors. No, we don't need to do them any. You want to pay? We've got them locked into 2026. You could pony up. If not, fuck off. There's the door. And Juve's got to start doing that shit. Like I said, we don't
Alvida's
have
in.
to sell anybody. People that believe that just because we're in this league, like now, oh, now you have to sell because you don't have that revenue. No, what are we talking about here? And do not be surprised if there is another bond put into this team to finally correct things and start
Mm-hmm.
moving forward with a clean process. The best thing they could have done was establish a board that actually is based on financial and legal personnel and whatnot.
We knew
That's
that wasn't
probably a
going to happen,
great
though.
move. Move number two, privatize. Like tomorrow, privatize your friggin' club. Okay? No more publicly traded bullshit and leave yourself open to all this junk. Okay? Privatize. Then,
Stop talking about stuff on the phone.
yes, for God's sakes.
Jeez.
Now,
Messenger pigeon.
we got some. There was one here from Aldo.
Here you go, Lex. You
And
got
it
it.
goes, okay, so right here it goes, how many goals have we shipped with Sadi Pirlo trying to play attacking football? Allegri tries, rarely, and we ship goals. There seems to be a pattern. Allegri tightened the belt out of necessity. Sure,
Mm,
he tried to clamp down on that, but it's still unbalanced. Like it's too
mhm.
balanced defensively. Like you can't, I don't care who it was. Pirlo, way too much on the opposite end. Way too offensive and leak goals like crazy. Even though come the end of the year, statistically, he was like top three defensively for goals allowed overall, but that never tells the whole story. Just like 19 clean sheets this season doesn't tell you the whole story. We were we lacked balance the majority of the year. And even if you're going to be more clamped down team, you still have to figure out a way to be strong in all phases, and the attack just can't be left by the wayside to say, hey, we're scared to attack because we're going to concede. Well, figure it out, and that's the point of your job, being paid as the highest paid manager in Serie A. Figure it out. I want you to figure it out. How do you guys
But did
feel when you
Allegri
hear
even
stuff about that?
did he even clamp down though? Like that's my thing. Like I feel like it's like a revisionist history a bit about the season and in his last season too. Like look at how much we lost to Napoli by, or the Empoli game that just happened, or Villarreal last season. Like it's like how I don't even think personally that we even really clamped down or solidified that defense like we were talking about. Because if you want to play that sit back pragmatic style, at least be solid defensively. Can't be conceding all those goals and matches like that too. So I think even for me, I think it's a bit of like a false narrative that just even say that he clamped down with the team.
I'll
Yeah.
slightly disagree with that. I think he clamped down in Serie A. When it came to European or playing teams who compete in Europe, mainly Napoli, right? We had no answer offensively. Defensively, for the most part in Serie A, I thought he was fine, right? But you need to take it to the next level and, to Al's point, balance the team out.
Yeah.
I think we have a good foundation defensively. I think that's set, but it's just moving forward, man. Like, god damn it, we got to score some more goals here, or at
Chat
least
for the next here.
get some better
Super
attempts.
chat. Big thank you. All right, big thank you. That's one way you can support everybody. Check out the new designs and the old designs, all 20% off in the merch store too. The Amici di Nessuno, the new one. Oh yeah, and we put a little love there. Okay, when Patrice Evra tells Juventini we must cheer for Inter in the Champions League final, yeah, Berto reacts. Check out that.
Pat,
I got one message for Pat, and it's clear the damn ball, Pat. So check out that gear too. Good stuff in there. And then, of course, Gobo DNA has launched with a North American variant and then our global variant. So check
some
those
good stuff
out.
in there.
Want to tell everyone one thing. Juventini around the world. Gazette equals fake news. Their boogeyman tactics are top notch. Don't let these fools scare you. No, they don't. We usually bring it up to laugh at. That is the truth. When it comes to Gazette, an absolute joke. Everybody, like the video, please, while you're in here. I continue to thank you guys all for the support this year. It's been tremendous. You guys are the best. The AJC Army is second to none. The everybody that's in tier 2 and tier 3 of memberships, which is another way to support us, but you have to be on a desktop to do so. Reminder, you're entitled to the private WhatsApp group chat with the entire team at AJC. Okay, so get in there. The kit. Hey, I said we were going to give away one kit, and I told you guys yesterday how. Tomorrow's daily update video, the first person that can identify one out of the two players that's going to be interviewed by us at the AJC later on this year in October, all you got to do is name one out of those two players. If you get it right, and the first one to get it right, you get yourself a kit. Okay?
I don't even know who we're interviewing, so good luck with that, people.
Storm the barn.
Good thing.
Fire this. Oh, actually, I did want to bring this up. This up. I saw it come in here. Let me get through Lucci's bullshit comments. More
Skip all of those.
Lucci. Okay.
Yep.
Vedat. Sarri said that this team in 2020 is uncoachable. Number one, it's the only team you've won with. So take it with a grain of salt. Now, number two, I believe that this whole statement, knowing now what I did not know, then, I think this has been a completely misinterpreted statement from Sarri, to be honest. And the reason I feel it's completely misinterpreted is because I don't necessarily think he was talking about the players themselves and their quality, but more to the situation around Juventus in terms of the locker room and the management. Because I dropped this on the preview show talking about what I had heard about the whole Ronaldo fiasco. And this was from a player. This is an ex-player that was a part of the squad for 5 years. Okay? And these were his exact words, saying that the moment everything crumbled and Juventus died internally in the locker room was when Ronaldo joined. It created a divide from the top that trickled down into the locker room. Players felt that when they succeeded, it was only Ronaldo getting praised. When they failed, it was everybody else's fault but his. This created a massive divide. You saw the divide in terms of the upper management with Paratici, Nedved, and Agnelli. You could tell these guys were not on the same page. I believe that's more what Sarri was speaking to in terms of saying that this team is untrainable and whatnot, because I think that everything that's been there and present in the locker room and everything totally just stemmed from that and that disarray in the management thing. That's what I honestly feel. That's it. Could you see that, knowing that ex-players are talking like that? Does that start to kind of make sense for you guys? Or do you think, no, it's just totally about the players and talent? I don't think it was. I think it's starting to make a little more sense now that these guys were spending time shining a light on what's going on behind closed doors, and more so Agnelli and management being a mess.
Man, Ronaldo scored a lot of goals, though. He scored a shit ton of goals.
At what cost?
It was a lot of fun having him.
Yeah.
Well, hey, listen. It was a lot of fun while he was here. But
At what
it's
cost?
we've been saying this. I haven't been part of the AGC for as long as this has been happening, but it's been about 3 or 4 years that you can just tell. I don't want to call it like a underlying rot, but there's just something was missing. Like the essence of what Juventus is has just been missing. And then I thought bringing in Ronaldo would sort of elevate the club, elevate everything, but you could still tell that there was always something missing there. Was it personnel? Was it something behind the scenes? And that comment you made about the ex-player, a lot of it just makes sense. A lot of what you're hearing now makes sense. And again, you look at some sources of news, you say, well, is that believable? And then you read something sort of related from a reliable source. And once you start piecing everything together, it all really just all makes sense.
Yeah.
That you need complete change. Ronaldo was awesome. Like, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about?
He was. And I'm not the biggest Ronaldo fan either. But I think that even that statement could even have been speaking about the disconnection between the type of team that Sarri needs versus the players that the management gave him to work with. Like, we've spoken about that too, about it being a bit of a disconnect between the type of players that he had weren't really suited to Saudi ball, more or less, if you want to talk about that style. So I think even that statement about the team being uncoachable, untrainable could also have those implications. And like Al mentioned, I think it's no secret too that like having Ronaldo is such a large focal point for the team that it's difficult for a coach sometimes to impose their style, because a lot of it has to either focus on Ronaldo or incorporate Ronaldo in a large way, which I think was good and bad for our team. I think he helped carry us to our last few trophies there too. So I think, and he was very fun to watch when he was here. It feels like so long ago that he was here now, looking back. But and I'm not a huge Ronaldo fan either, but I will admit that it was fun, and he did bring a lot of positive aspects too to the club.
You always felt that there was a goal coming.
Yeah.
When he was on, like, even sometimes they didn't, but he did score over 100 goals in basically less than 3 years. Like, that's a lot of goals.
Yeah, it just.
But at what cost? Yeah, okay. Blah 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 blah. What cost? Okay, it hurt the club.
We didn't.
It almost sunk the ship.
Did it feel like a team though? Like, honestly, it kind of didn't. It was kind of like, still in some sense, a bit soulless, to be honest.
It was more exciting than this season.
Yeah, but that's not fucking hard, man. Yesterday's game, I've seen 45-year-old plus league games with more pace than what I watched yesterday. It was tough.
It was a weird one yesterday.
Yeah, brutal. But in RB comps, I say, like, for me, it still didn't feel like a team, and now we're starting to hear, some things come out of it. Everything, for every action, there's an equal or opposite reaction. So, is what is. He did score a lot of goals. He did his job, but yeah, I think we all sense kind of was causing some problems, and it did for management anyways, because that's why Agnelli ended up losing key guys, because he wanted to stick with them. And the whole thing too, when this ex-player said that Max wanted him gone, and everybody thought it was a rebuild. Max wanted Ronaldo gone earlier because he saw what it was doing in terms of the divide. That was very, very interesting. Probably the most interesting bit out of the whole thing. And obviously we know Agnelli could not have gone against that whatnot, but there were a lot of people against the Ronaldo move in general, and Agnelli went his route. RB Comps stormed the barn. Does keeping Sandro Bonucci Quadrado evidence of the club having zero ambition?
I'm not convinced that they stay when the new when Calvo gets his grip into this team and the new sporting director come in, I'm not convinced that they stay. Even though they could be bought out, I think there's if what we're hearing is true and they want to go a 180 from where we're going right now, I think I think both these guys, all three of them are wiped out.
Yeah. For me, it's hard to tie in a new management group's ambitions to mistakes of the previous people like
Mm-hmm.
Sandro, Bonucci, even rumors of like a renewal that's semi-automatic, I guess, pretty much automatic. Quadrado maybe renew whatnot. I think it's more not necessarily about the ambitions, but more so how much cleanup has to go down
It's a
and
cleanup.
whatnot. I
Sorry.
can't really fault them or put their ambitions at stake for this particular thing. If you're looking at our roster, there are clear areas that need to be top priority, but you might get some wrenches thrown in there with situations following Chiesa and Vlahovic and whatnot, which will then give us more issues. Based on the money Vlahovic still currently stands us, if we sell him at 80 million, we make 16 in capital. So it's not like a big move or
It's not worth
anything,
it.
right? In terms of Chiesa, I would expect him to be somewhere, we want to throw out the big numbers and whatnot, but realistically, if teams come in for him, it's going to be somewhere around probably 50. And that would see more capital than a Vlahovic sale or whatnot, right? Based on what he stands us. But I wouldn't
Oh,
move either one of them. I think how we move through this kind of scenario will show the club's ambitions. And honestly, if you want to look at this club's ambitions, wait for this week, because if now all of a sudden the changes are listed and I need a statement of intent, basically is what I need from this team. I need them to say, okay, you know what, Max, thank you. We're saying goodbye. We're going to go a different route. And then I want to see a coach named. I want to see a sporting director situation resolved. Like, even if it's Mana coming in and then we have to wait because we can't break Juntoli free of ADL, I need to know what the plan is. What are we doing? And I need to get that statement of intent. I need them to essentially state that what's gone on is a failure and we're striving for far more than that, and we're going to make the moves that we believe. Like, I need to hear something. That's what I'm going to put to ambition, not necessarily these players.
Lex, would you keep any of these three? Do it. Say it. Say it. I
If
will
I
agree
had
with
to
you if you
pick,
say it.
if I had to
Yep.
pick one, it would be Quadrado.
Mm-hmm.
But the other two, I think it's time to
Mm-hmm.
move on. I know Juve
Mm-hmm.
has a little bit of a history of wanting to keep players till the very, 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 very end, but I think we should move on from them. You agree with me, Ant, about Quadrado, though?
Let's face facts here. All right. We're in the conference league. We don't have a lot of money to spend. DeShilio's out with the ACL injury, and you ship Quadrado out. Did I freeze there? No, am I still good?
Yeah, you're okay. You're chopping out a bit. You're good.
Okay. Sorry about that. We're now, you ship Quadrado out, you're down two players on the right side. I think for next season, you got to keep Quadrado. Oh, because of that injury.
So Sandro's renewed, like it's done. It's
I
automatic.
know.
Benucci is, people were talking like that's his last game, like a send off. I don't actually think it is. I think he's
It was
gonna
a
be
weird.
around
It was
one
a
more.
weird exit. It
It
was a
was
weird
weird.
exit, though.
The whole thing was weird, but I don't actually think it's done and dusted just yet with him. Quadrado, the fact that you have Sandro automatic, like, for me, I would just bite the bullet and say, okay, we got an automatic renewal, but like we're done. Like, we're just
Mm-hmm.
paying you, but we're gonna use the roster spot on someone else and move forward. If I had to pick out of any of those who I keep around, Benucci can't be trusted even against the weakest of opposition. So it's a sad reality that he's in right now, but it's done. It's time. Quadrado, out of those players, if I had to keep one, it would be one. But I don't think we should keep any of them around. It's just me.
Okay.
Storm the barn. We sell Illing to Brighton for 10 million, and I have a good cry. Well, it's not really a
I
question, and I hope that's
think
not the
we all
case.
will.
I don't expect Juve to move Illing. Don't expect it
He
whatsoever.
just extended, right? Did he just
So
extend
he
his
did get an
contract?
extension,
Yeah.
yeah. Which doesn't rule out transfers or anything, but
No,
I
but
can't see it. I can't see them moving Illing. Ah, can't see it. Can't see it. What they should be doing is establishing that now, given the circumstances, is the time for these guys to want to stick around at Juve, because your minutes are going to shoot up and you're going to get real growth opportunity and stay at Juventus. Like, that's what we should be doing. But you might look at it the other way and say, hey, no European, because I know Conference League and whatnot, but I fully expect bans coming for this. So not next and the following. I expect two. A lot of people out there, including my sources, tell me 1 year, but I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's going to be 0.
Did you don't think any European bans coming?
I think so. No one can answer this question for me. If UEFA bans Juventus from European play and we appeal, do we still get to play that next season in Europe?
UEFA will see that it's dealt with before that happens.
Then we will win in court because UEFA is 0 for infinity on these cases. So we'll play. We're playing in Europe.
There's a ban coming. Did Allegri have impact
try.
for the turnaround after the point deduction, or was it the players that united and grinded much more? Everybody's going to have their own thoughts on this one. We kind of already spoke about this. I kind of already spoke about this earlier, that I think the point penalty is just a mask for how poor Allegri 2.0 has been. I think it, obviously he's got to get credit for it, for dealing with it and being the face through it all, and nothing coming from the people above him in terms of statements really or speaking to it. But yeah, one way or another, they had a good turnaround. I'll credit Allegri and the players for the turnaround, because I honestly didn't think it was coming. But it ultimately doesn't lead me to believe we need to continue, that's for sure.
It was a band-aid on a bullet wound.
Yeah, basically. Lex?
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe you can say it united them more, but yeah, it gave Allegri a good excuse, I guess.
Yeah. Now, what do we have? Tony. Kostic
2020. Good band.
is the best Juve signing in the last 5 years. Prove me wrong. Consistency, price, quantity. That's the type of players we need to sign, and not the Pogbas and Di Marias. Live ahead, Juve. Kostic,
The best Juve
signing in the last 5 years.
He's not the best signing in the last 5 months, 12 months. Bremer was a better signing than he was.
You know,
Ronaldo was a better signing because of all the goals he scored.
I will not.
Okay, he almost sunk the club, but whatever.
Kostic is one of those guys on the squad that he's very, very valuable in terms of how many minutes he can play and whatnot and everything
Agreed.
like that. But I'm not going to agree that he's the best in the last 5 years.
No.
He was one of the best this year. He was a good signing for us, good piece of business. I don't disagree that we need to find guys that have crazy work rates like that. But he does leave a lot to be desired in his play as well. And the constant argument is he being coached with the reins on? Is he allowed more freedom or whatnot? But then you see a kid like Illing Jr. come in and interpret the role completely differently. Getting in centrally, taking on 1v1s. Like I can't help but feel there's so much more to Kostic's game. Like there has to be. But
Is he even in the top 5 signings in the last 5 years? Bremer.
do we need to take a
Ronaldo.
look? Like Bremer's there for sure. I'm going to tell you this. Like if we want to talk about signings Juve needs to make, like I've been saying for a
Gatti's
while
good
now on the
signing.
show,
Ravella.
character guys like Gatti. Yesterday when shit hit the fan, who was the first guy in there and
He was
literally
mad.
looked like
He
he
was
was going
so
to rip
mad.
somebody's head off. Gatti is setting the tone
Oh,
for what Juve needs to get and needs to be back
Locatelli.
to. People
Thank you,
need to
Lucci.
fear Juventus again. And you do it with guys like that. Give me 11 Gattis and I'll be happy. I'll be happy if you can find 11 character guys with like Gatti that have heart, that know when to take a piece out of somebody and when to get in somebody's face. Like Gatti's a fucking beauty. He is
Lucci
becoming
brought
one of my favorites on the team, to be honest with you.
Lucci mentioned two players right there. There's your top five. Locatelli, Chiesa, Bremer, Ronaldo.
Yeah, like I mean, it's just he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
it
I
was a
like
good
him. I think
sign.
he's a good player. Yeah, good
It was a
signing.
good piece of
Great sign.
business, good signing, but not the
Awesome.
best in the five. I can't agree to that.
No.
What is the worst penalty that we can get from UEFA and was the most credible one? I'm hearing, well, I think it's just between the 2 years and 1 year, whatnot. So, and
It's not happening.
if we get the 1 year, and there's going to be more in here, actually, Animesh had a little bit of a breakdown here. So, we can appeal to CS. If it's a 1 year ban, though, for this season, we will take it to avoid Conference League. So,
Sure.
everyone's expecting at least 1 year. There are some that are expecting two. That's kind of what we're looking at. So
If
we
it's
just have
two,
to
we're
wait
gonna
and see.
fight it.
No.
If it's one,
Yeah. If it's one, take the hit this year and move on. Let's go. Should we consider going for free transfers like Telemans or Zaha at this moment? Selling Vlahovic could even finance getting fullbacks that have potential.
no, it won't. Lex,
Lex?
Yeah, won't. Not enough. You're not getting enough money back for him, I don't think. And I want to keep Vlahovic too. I don't think we should sell him.
what about the
Yeah.
other two? I have no idea about who the hell they are.
So you don't have to. The capital gain on Vlahovic would be, if we sold him at 80, would be around 16 million euros. It's not that you have to use capital to purchase other players, because obviously you get 80 overall coming in, so you can output that. We know where we stand financially. It's like a 125 million deficit this year. They want to cut it down more next year. I don't see us getting crazy, and it was quiet before, and Romeo Agresti has said it's going to be a quiet one in Italy in general. I don't think selling Vlahovic is going to see this big influx like everybody wants, especially you have to keep eyes on what happens at the sporting director role, because if Giuntoli does not come in immediately, don't expect major moves at all. Like, just don't expect it. Like, it'll be bare bones mercato any way you slice it, I think. Maybe you can have a little piece of magic if a guy like Giuntoli comes in and uses a couple connections to help out, right? But don't expect anything really crazy. As far as free
Like,
transfers go, I will say this, though, the Pulisic links, I know it's unpopular. I would probably take Pulisic over like Zaha, and a move like Telemans coming in the midfield. It's not a bad move, but I actually think our midfield is good with Rovella coming back, and I would use Zakaria as a rotational piece in the squad. I really, really would. I wouldn't spend a lot of time worrying about the midfield with the guys we have, to be honest.
I just wanted to touch on something there that RB Comp said about not knowing who Telemans is. I've said this on the show many times. I don't give a shit about other teams other than Juventus. I don't watch other teams. I don't care about other teams. I don't sit and hey, you guys want to sit and watch other soccer teams play? Wonderful. Complete waste of time for me. But hey, you guys tell me who I need to look at and I'll maybe watch a YouTube.
I
Other than
used
that,
to
I don't care.
I used to watch a ton.
I don't play FIFA. I
But
don't. Once I retired from football, I don't watch any of it except Juventus and the national team.
I used to get
Lex
really
watches every
into
game somehow.
all the other leagues and everything, but
I do.
He's
I watch
and
El
Luca nonstop.
would
Yeah,
Pau Torres. Would Pau Torres be a good pair with Bremer? I think so.
Yes, I've seen him play.
There you go. I think
There we
Pau
go.
Torres would be a good combo with Bremer. Lex,
Yeah.
Is he
is there
free
anybody else
transfer?
you would want like that's realistic to partner up with Bremer? Maybe let's change that question up. Like Lex, is there anybody realistically in the mix that you would prefer over Pau Torres?
I mean, speaking realistically, I don't think so. I think we could use one more center back for depth, but I'm not sure. Yeah, how about you guys?
Or do we just survive with what we have until that young kid's ready to go? Houston,
Yeah,
Houston.
that's what I was gonna say. Who's that
right?
kid
You
on?
you survive this
Dells as
season.
Laporte. Mentioned Laporte.
Awesome. I think that's a wine, isn't it? So is that a red wine? But you just survive this season with what you have. If you don't have money to spend, then you just because he's only like 18. I think he just turned 18. Bring him in as a 19-year-old. Bring him on the summer tour with Yildiz and see what he does.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric
Probably needs to eat
saying
a
not
couple panini
sure.
though.
Gatti. Bremer wouldn't be ideal, but like Bastoni. So I'm sure that Gatti and Bremer wouldn't be ideal, but like Bastoni. No. Yeah. I don't mind but Scalvini. Oh man, I would love to bring in
We're
Scalvini,
not
but
spending money.
Yeah,
yeah.
not
Yeah.
realistic. I
Lots
was
to
thinking
see.
of him, but
Have we been watching any of the U20 World Cup? Italy looking good. Players like Zanotti, Baldanzi are looking fire. Lex, you tuned into the World Cup? I've watched a couple games.
I haven't. But I have heard good things
What?
about Baldanzi, so
Yeah.
investing my stocks now.
Are
From
you?
what I follow on, from the
I
ones I
am.
follow on Twitter, the Inter supporters seem to be all over this Baldonzi kid. I put new grass in. I had some construction in the front yard, so I've been watering that to get that up to speed. So I haven't had a chance to watch U20's
So
grass
we've
is looking
got
good.
in 3 days, we're gonna have Uruguay and Israel. Okay, and then
Hmm.
Italy facing South Korea.
Oh, we
Now,
all know how that goes.
yeah, yeah, I was literally gonna say we know how that goes, but Italy and Israel, we might have to get myself and Omer on a watch along, taking on that U20 World Cup. That'll be funny if that
When
goes
is
down.
that?
But Israel's looking good. That
Is
these
that
two
this weekend?
semifinals are in 3 days on June 8th, and the finals on Sunday. Finals on Sunday. So we'll see. Now
Well, good luck to them.
we
They're going
got
to lose, but
room for
you know
one
how it goes.
more storm the barn. Oh, wait. Well, there's two. Who do you see as
Hmm.
Dushan's potential replacement? The names are the same. Skamaka, Hoyland,
Like
and like nobody
Keen Stan,
really excites me.
Melik.
I think Hoyland's been the best out of the names that are mentioned. There's two other ones, and I didn't even care enough to remember. All right, their names. No disrespect to them. I mean, I kind of disrespected them, which I'm sorry, but
You just yeah.
it is
Hashtag
what
sorry,
it
not
is.
sorry. So Keen and Milik staying next year then?
Yeah,
Keen, I don't think
Probably.
anymore I would renew Milik.
You don't think you okay for the 7 million?
I think the
Interesting.
less people that we have involved from this year moving forward is probably for the best.
Wow, that's a 180 from how you've been all year. All right,
Yeah,
interesting.
I'm
yeah, yeah.
I'm keeping Vlahovic, so I'm not talking about
Well, there
replacements.
we go.
There you go.
I'm with you,
There you
Lex.
go. Trey saw a great
Speak
post on
into the
Instagram for the
universe.
22-23 season. Who's our best player, unsung hero, best signing, most improved, and biggest flop? We kind of did
We did this.
this
Well, we can
a
do it again.
lot more extensions a few shows ago, but let's have some fun. I don't think Lex
Lex
was
didn't do it.
around for this one. So
Mhm.
well, why don't we hear Lex's? Lex, who's your best player this season?
I put it out in tweet.
Italiano.
Sorry
Oh,
about these
sorry. Sorry.
Dibalas. No, I'm kidding. For me, it was probably Locatelli. I know it was a little bit of like a
Hmm.
controversial pick, maybe, but I just thought in terms of consistency, I know he was getting a lot of hate for a while there. I didn't think he was having as much of a drop off as everyone was saying, but I thought in terms of consistency in his play, he was definitely crucial to our midfield. So for me, it was Locatelli. Unsung hero, I'd probably give to um, probably like Fajoli,
Oh,
maybe
Jolie
like
saw
just
that
say
coming.
like
Yep.
hero in general, yeah, for the season.
Hmm.
Best signing, I think could be I said like Gatti, I think in my tweet as well. I know I forgot Bremer existed for some reason when I was doing it, so we could also say Bremer. Most improved is a tough one. I don't know if anyone really improved.
Our
I
Rabiot.
leading goal scorer, Adrian
Yeah.
Rabiot, probably
oh
improved
Fabio.
massively.
Yeah, I
Massively.
forget he exists.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, Rabio probably would be the shout for that, and then biggest flop would be Paredes probably.
I didn't expect much from Paredes, so I think
Neither
flop.
did
I'd
I,
I'd have
but
to go. Maybe I was really disappointed with how Di Maria finished.
Hmm.
Flop, not enough to be a flop though, so that's kind of the thing.
It's
Like he
Pogba.
definitely wasn't a
Pogba coming
flop. Would be tough. Paredes, I just didn't expect much, but Di Maria really disappointed me. I think I'd put him for biggest disappointment. It really changed over the past, crunch time from April on for Di Maria and myself.
I
Best
don't think he had
player,
any goals or assists after the break there, right? Since April.
yeah, I think Danilo's got to be considered for best player this year. I
yeah,
really think he does.
agreed.
Locatelli
Yeah,
was I think on my honorable mention list. Yeah.
yeah. Now that kind of wraps it up for Storm the Barn. Everybody, you know the drill. Like the video, okay?
Hmm.
Thank you for all your support. This is not the official season wrap up show, but again, just thanking all of you for the incredible support. We got a lot of stuff planned. The US summer tour, we're not far off. Like their training camp
Like a
kicks
month and a
off
half.
July 4th or 6th. Like they're going to
Yep.
start with camps, pre camps. And then, of course, we got the summer tour late July. I'm going to be in San Francisco. There's already a lot of you that have been reaching out. Okay, if you're heading there, that game, whatnot, definitely reach out to me. Okay, even our DMs through the main account, it'll find its way to me. But reach out. Would love to see you while we're down there. There's going to be a lot of official fan club involvement. Again, massive thank you to all the official fan clubs in North America. If you need help finding one near you, okay, reach out and I'll put you in touch with the guys you need to talk to. I don't believe any of us are going to be heading to the Orlando one.
It's too hot, Eric. Like, what are we talking about?
It's going to be hot as balls
it's
out
like
there in
who wants to watch
August
a game
2nd,
on the
whatever,
surface of the
Orlando.
sun?
But Eric loves
Like,
it. Eric loves it. Loves the heat. Loves the heat.
he does.
Now, yeah, Orlando's got two. They're gonna have some fan club involvement too, because there's two that fired up in Florida, whatnot. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of good stuff. I'm waiting
Yeah,
for
they're
the
not
reports
official.
on the special events happening in the summer tour. I should have some intel for everybody on what's going on as far as special events go. Hopefully tomorrow, because the phone calls are taking place today. So we'll see. Maybe I'll have
Is
something for
the
you, and
is the
then we'll
Florida
go from
club
there.
official or no? Are they an
What's that?
official club? Is the Florida club an official one?
They have both become official, yeah.
Oh,
So
there you
they
go.
are official.
Both. There's
Um,
two. Nice. All right.
and now we get to the jersey tomorrow. Tomorrow, okay? When the daily update video posts, the
Mm-hmm.
first one to nail one out of the two players that I'll be potentially interviewing, waiting for the final green light in October,
Mm-hmm.
wins the 23-24 home kit. And don't worry, we got a ton more giveaways coming out. Okay. I think we're up to, like, since the pod started, 32 or 33 jerseys given away. And Jeremiah won a Rabio kit. I have a video of Lou ordering that kit that I'm going to post
Yes.
on the socials and whatnot. We had to get him to record his thoughts having to purchase a Rabio kit that we sent to Jeremiah. So he's going to get that. So even wagers. And we love stuff like that. So next year, we're going to have more fun with that. But again, The AJC is nothing without all of you, so thank you for all your incredible
Absolutely.
support. Lex, Anth, thank you. Great show today. And the news, stay tuned. I think we're going to start getting some announcements rolling through very, very soon. I'm not buying into this. Max is confirmed and staying. Thankfully, that was Sky Sport. Okay? So pump the brakes. Let's see what happens. And the motto all year will carry on into silly season, everybody. One day at a time. All right? No matter what, see what happens. Fino alla fine. Forza Juve always. Ciao tutti. Enjoy your weeks, okay? And yeah, I'll be in touch real soon. Take care.
Yeah.